Welcome back, everyone, to another Company of Heroes 2 replay cast. This time we are going to have a 2v2 sent in by Olomalu, of course, playing as Black Panther under that name. You've certainly seen him before, and he is the OKW on the south side of Crossing in the Woods. His friend is going to be Furio. Yes. Damn, that's an aggressive name. He's playing as the Wehrmacht, and his opponents are going to be Klieshnia, who are the Brits, and Donkey, Americans. Donkey Americans. Anyway, let's see if I know this Klieshnia or this Donkey person. No. He's got a lot of Russian in his name, though. And what about Donkey? Do I know him? Private profile? Probably don't. Okay, well, Crossing in the Woods, y'all know what this is like. And hopefully it's not going to be too much like, you know, just a Crossing in the Woods slugfest, but we'll see. We will see. And you will excuse me, but I will actually fast forward through some of the early game. Looks like we have Donkey going from the mortar. That's a good decision. Machine gun from the Brits. The Wehrmacht machine gun and pioneers only now building a infantry company, so being quite late on that grenadier. And yeah, because of that, he's getting just absolutely bullied by some riflemen. Gets to run away faster than his, you know, than his buddy. Unfortunately, looks like for the Americans, yeah, fun's gonna be up. Black Panther moves around with some extra folks, saving his ally and putting that mortar into flight. Very well done. Of course, up here, these two squads need to be dealt with. And because the Volksgrenadiers went on the right side, this means that on the left we have some Brits just kind of running amok and able to take everything. So that's kind of okay. Looks like Black Panther actually decided, hey, enemies are not going to take this middle VP, at least not moving from the north, so that is pretty good for him. And now he's trying to move in his Volksgrenadiers to press the advantage that he has acquired. The problem is, here's more riflemen, and so he has to run away. So, first engagement, kind of going the Germans' way, but, ooh, damn. But it kind of backfired because of the way that the Brits managed to push on the left. Which was, to be fair, predictable with sending so many guys to the right. But it's still going quite well for the Nazis on the right, and they're able to just push up a lot of riflemen and, you know, make these Americans really regret standing alone against two players. The mortar is trying desperately to help in some way or another, but it's not working, and he's also going to need to run away. Both of these rifleman squads taking heavy casualties, and now it seems like Donkey even went for an ambulance, so that means that his squads that he can just push onto the meat grinder, he's going to have less squads, okay? So he's going to be still outnumbered. In the meantime, well done with these Sturm Pioneers. Black Panther was able to decap and cut off the left-hand side from the rest of the American and British zone of control. So this definitely minimizes the amount of resource lead that the Allies are going to be getting out of their, you know, left side. And now even on the right side, the Germans are just pushing up and they're taking handily control over everything. Olomalu looks like he's also going to send in his supply half-track to the right side, which might mean that he's going to set up his battle group or mechanized regiment on the right side, which again is going to increase the amount of map control that the Germans can push out on the right much further. American forces actually intercepting some German troops, so Furio looks like he was trying to help on the left, but he got kind of ambushed by some riflemen. The riflemen themselves got ambushed by an MG42 though, so that makes them run back to the base. In the meantime, the mortar is trying to desperately deal with the machine gun, but it's just not working out for him. And battle group quarters will be built on the extreme right side. If I were Black Panther, I would have actually built it right over here in a bit of a more covered and more central position. But hey, that's he's going very, very hard on that right side. So that's kind of interesting. We'll see whether he can really make use of the fruits of that. Oh damn, Grenadiers need to run away. Grenadiers need to run away, and also the machine gun is in big, big trouble. There goes the Grenadier squad. Now the machine gun is in big trouble because there's these riflemen pushing in from behind, and yeah, it has to demount and run away. The British machine gun on the left, repulsing a bit of an attack on the field point, although there's more challengers yet coming its way. Both Volksgrenadier squads that are active are being sent there, which is an interesting choice because, again, you know, it's a machine gun. It can deal with Volksgrenadiers, but I guess they're gonna try a flank. Oh yeah, this is a good flank. Yeah, he's trying to face it, but yeah, I feel like with the other Volksgrenadier squad, it's gonna be difficult for him. Yeah, they get suppressed, but they went in pretty close, so now they can throw an incendiary grenade. And also we have the second squad coming in from the side. Here comes the incendiary from them. Ooh, they actually run away. Wow. Perhaps a little bit too early, but yeah, the machine gun is forced back, and the field point back under Nazi occupation. In the meantime, the forces of freedom and democracy are advancing on the right side. They're trying to make sort of their riflemen work, and because there's only two of them, it's being difficult for them, but with some use of good cover, they're able to kind of survive long enough for these two mortars to pound the enemy positions into dust. And with the battle group headquarters actually being built relatively close to the front line, that means that these two mortars, if they can spot the battle group headquarters, they can actually put quite a lot of pressure on the Germans and make them have to essentially put troops around here to repair all the time. Also, there's a captain on the field for the Allies, which is going to be important because, of course, Black Panther, as you probably saw, was going for a flak half-track all that time. So to counter that light vehicle on the right side, the Allies are going to need the ATs from the captain here and the bazooka as well. But it's still going to be very difficult for them to really... Still going to be very difficult for them to really make do because, again, it's still only one player versus two, so no matter how well he fights, he's going to be at a disadvantage. And now, especially that we have a light vehicle on the field, yeah, it's pretty likely that this is not going to go well for our American players. In the meantime, though, we have the riflemen from the Brits coming in, so Klieshnya is moving in with the raid operation so he can cap faster. And that is allowing him to retake the entire left side and also put a lot of damage on the Axis map control. So this is good because it's going to cut off everything on the right side and once again reduce that income that the Germans are getting. Also, they are using essentially all of their troops to kind of move in and put the German defenders off balance because, of course, they're being flanked. But, I mean, that's not going to really be... it's not going to really be too much of a concern for the Germans. What might be a bigger concern is this Bofors, but Klieshnya is positioning it very close to the front line. Here comes a rifle grenade, not really doing all that much damage, but again, it's very, very close to the Axis base into the... Well, in fact, it's further ahead than what the normal front line has been so far. So this could be very dangerous. It could be very vulnerable to... Damn, there goes that Grenadier. It could be very vulnerable to both mortars and sport guns, especially something like this mortar half-track. And it's especially going to be very vulnerable to ATs, because so close to the base, the ATs are going to be very safe. Very, very safe to use and push up against that Bofors emplacement. Because normally the problem with trying to kill the emplacements of the ATs is that, well, maybe you move it in too close and it gets decrewed and the enemy steals it. But with the guy being so close there, not much of an issue. Speaking of AT, the Allies are kind of lacking in that, although Donkey has some bazookas. He can also start to get some 1919 light machine guns because he has picked infantry doctrine. His friend has picked the Vanguard operations, of course. Which is going to be very nasty if the Crocodile can come out later. And now, with the forward logistics glider, he can put up a nice forward base, like around here, where he can use that to reinforce things and get a nice commando squad off of that. Air landing officer, sorry, I forgot the name of the guy. And yeah, as you can see, the Bofors is very vulnerable to this mortar half-track fire, especially when they can employ these incendiary rounds. And that, you know, forced it to waste the brace ability, and now it's gonna die. Despite the problems, though, the Allies are still pushing in very aggressively, although, well, they're gonna have to run away because of the grenades. Still, though, they're pushing in aggressively. They're putting down, actually, artillery beacons on, you know, very, very close to the base, and, you know, because the thing is so inaccurate, it might actually miss into the base. Of course, the first round is accurate, the other ones aren't. Still, though, the Allies are going to need to find some way to break the right side stalemate. Black Panther has been starting to really load up on these support guns, and his friend over here, Furio, has both mortar half-tracks ready to go. And what this means is that the Allies are going to be in a relatively difficult position where there is a lot of defenses that the Germans have placed on the right side that they can't penetrate with their normal units. But because of the light artillery that has been purchased by the Axis, it's going to be difficult for them to just artillery out the German kind of sim city. Even though it's not really a sim city, it's more like a sim camp. I don't know, because, I mean, they do have a few buildings, but it's not that nasty. Oh no, Volksgrenadier is trying to move in, needs to run away. Actually, he's trying to break out with the other Volksgrenadier. Here comes the grenade, but braced. Forward structure has been destroyed. I wonder what that was, but now the battle headquarters is in trouble because there's all the mortars firing on it. The mortars, though, probably have other things to worry about because of all the, you know, mortar half-tracks and stuff, and the support guns. Support guns and mortar half-tracks helping out along with rifle grenades to wipe out one of those British infantry units. So now the Brits are down to 2 rifleman squads and 1 sapper and 1 machine gun, and their mortar is about to go down into flames and scattering all 4 of its occupants and crewmen in a very symmetrical fashion. One of them to the northeast, one of them to the southwest, you know, all that jazz. So despite their best efforts, the Allies are kind of outmatched when it comes to indirect fire. And that is very scary. Very scary for them because
we're losing a capture point.
At one point or another, they're going to need to find and deal with the problem of the right side. They're trying to do that now with all their bazookas. This is a very, very good push, by the way, by Donkey. Able to put up a lot of pressure, but I don't think he's gonna just have that extra oomph that he needs to push in. He would have needed a vehicle for that because what really destroyed him was the MG42. He could not break through that with just riflemen. Nice grenade. He still has done a lot of damage. He has half the HP of the flak half-track and half the HP of the battle group, and killed 2 support gun crews. Actually, he might have stolen one of the support guns. No, he has destroyed one of the support guns, I think. No. Okay, it was... No. That is a new support gun. He has probably destroyed a support gun. That's very good. Still, though, looks like the ambulance... Well, 2 amber lamps were destroyed. So, no third ambulance. He's going to go directly for a Sherman. Cromwell on the field for the Brits. And they need that because right now they're having a lot of problems on the left. They still hold all the points, but gonna have problems soon. Although he has found with the Cromwell all of the artillery wagons. Actually, completely wipes out a squad by running them over. And for some reason, he's not trying to use attack round. He's gonna chase down the flak half-track like a dog and destroy him, sending him flying into the river. And now he's gonna just reverse into the German base and try to absolutely smash whatever he finds. Thankfully for the Germans, these, well, who was that actually? I think it was this Grenadier squad was on the watch and managed to get a Panzerfaust off on the face of the Cromwell, destroying the engine. And now the Cromwell is trying to use the, vehicle crew repairs to hide itself and repair out of this mess, but there's a Raketenwerfer over here. Raketenwerfer was targeted on the Cromwell, so it needs to gain line of sight again before it can fire. but it seems like it's missing. Sherman is trying to move in, also providing, you know, another bit of armor, trying to perhaps rescue the Cromwell with the help of these riflemen. Here comes a lot of grenades. The rifleman horde is pushing in, and it is very, very threatening, very menacing. This is gonna probably result in the destruction of battle quarters, but the Cromwell is destroyed, so its original mission to save Private Cromwell was not successful, and right now it looks like the battle group headquarters will have to go down as well. So just everything and everyone being destroyed over here. Both Black Panther and Klieschnia taking massive losses. The difference being that Klieschnia is really pushing on the left-hand side with the Vengeance, and now, you know, he's being kind of pushed back, but like with the pressure that is being put up by both Donkey and Klieschnia on both sides of the map, it's starting to become difficult for the Germans to really get the resources that they need to continue taking up and getting up to the late game, because Black Panther right now has the Schwer Panzer headquarters, but he's only got 42 fuel to work with it, so can't get any vehicles. Furio has 70 fuel, and he has the Battle Phase 2 and the Support Armor Core, but again, not really all that much that he can use to build, whereas the Allies already have their sort of early to mid-game medium tanks. So they're falling into the mid-game, and soon enough they're going to be into the late game. Can the Germans say the same? Not yet. We'll see about that. Sherman has to go back and get himself some repairs. WC ambulance also around. Sherman, although decides to come back around, still hasn't loaded high explosive, which is just pissing me off incredibly, because this thing would be at a lot more kills had he just switched to those bloody high explosive rounds. Klieschnia now has enough for the strafing support, and he's actually going to instantly call that in, which is going to be a bit of a waste, because like, what are they gonna do? Strafe for the AT gun? Oh, I guess he sees the. LAAG support gun. Black Panther is not activating the anti-air mode on the Schwer Panzer quarters, so that means a few rockets are gonna be employed against these mortar half-tracks. Still though, using the strafing support for that might have been a bit of an overzealous move. Left side is being finally recaptured by Black Panther. He's now able to move in his Volksgrenadier, and yeah, that's gonna be good. If he can keep control over that left-hand side, he's gonna have a good position to work off of for the mid to late game.
Armor here.
Oh boy. What's falling? I saw a random shadow move up there. That was weird. Anyway, looks like a second Cromwell is on the field for Klieschnia. I guess he's just trying to get Cromwells on the way to Churchill Crocodile? I have no idea. Because honestly, the Cromwell might not be the best idea ever. I have no idea. I have no idea. He's at least going to try to crush some Volksgrenadiers. That's pretty good. Oh, another big push by the Americans, moving in the infantry, absolutely like a hammer upon the wall, and not really being forced to move back, only now by the machine gun. And 42 going to easily suppress these guys in negative cover. Oh, raid operation is once again popped by Klieschnia, who's been making good use of this to get himself back up in the map control game every time he is forced back from, you know, the brink of the German base by the Axis. 2 packs on the field for Furio now. That's a good decision, considering that the Allies are gonna probably increase their armor count soon. If I were Donkey, I'd wait ahead and get some priests, though, because honestly, I feel like that would be such a good tool in dealing with enemy anti-tank guns, and also helping out against the mortar half-tracks. they would just be very useful. Instead, he's going for a second Sherman, which might be a little bit of an overkill. Because, guess what? If you used your HE rounds on the first Sherman, you wouldn't need a second one. And yeah, look at these AT guns. Being very helpful. Actually damaged engine already, and very low HP on this thing, so pretty dangerous. Being flanked, the Americans are by Obersoldaten, and that's not very good. They're all gonna turn around and try to deal with them. But this exposes them to the assault of this one Grenadier squad, which is, of course, soon to be reinforced with other things. Not sure why Furia put a machine gun there, though. Oh, second squad from the OKW coming in, and now the Sherman is coming in, yet another one. So yeah, despite the nice attempt, you know, doing a bit of a flanking maneuver, Black Panther is going to be pushed back to the base once again. Wonder what he's going to try to get with his fuel. Ooh, this is dangerous. Is that going to be wipe? No, no wipe. Good for him. Oh, this is a very dangerous AT blob. 2 AT guns and a Raketenwerfer. So the allies are going to need to really watch for their armor at this point. Nice major flank. That's when you know you done goofed. When you get flanked by a major who's going to RD himself. What an idiot. What? Oh, okay. Still though, the Allies controlling the left-hand side more thoroughly than the Axis are controlling the right side. So this is of course giving them an extra edge when it comes to resources. What is also doing that is the fact that they're starting to get some caches, although the Germans are doing that as well. Okay, I noticed that. So 2 caches for either side, and the only difference being that the Axis don't really control their fuel point as much as the Allies are controlling theirs. So this, of course, is ooh, dangerous. Oh, that's gonna be a wipe. Chase him. What? No. No. Use HE rounds.
HE rounds are good.
I don't even know. And then he's gonna push in with his infantry exactly where, you know, the enemy should know that he's gonna push, but there's no machine gun here. Where the hell is it? He's back at base. So now he can move in with all the bazooka blob, and the bazooka blob is actually going to clear the way for the tanks because the pack guns are being crushed. The Shermans are moving in. They're absolutely charging at the mortar half-tracks. Smoke is being popped. In the meantime, the Cromwells are attacking Black Panthers' troops and forcing them back into the base. Not really that much AT that they can use to destroy there. And the Jagdpanzer is going to have to come in and save the day, actually doing a lot of damage to these Cromwells. In the meantime, we have the Shermans absolutely rampaging through the right. We have that the American riflemen are starting to break these fuel caches. In the meantime, the the Jagdpanzer is just moving in after these Cromwells. The Cromwell thinks it is a Pershing from Company Pharaohs 1 with, Allied war machine, but it's not. It's a Cromwell with raid operation. He's trying to run away, finally realizing that he's gonna die, and now he's moving in. Nope, misses the last shot, and now the Jagdpanzer is in big fucking shit because there's 2 Shermans moving in from the rear. Thankfully for him, and for him, by him I mean Donkey, the American player, he never switched to HE rounds, so he doesn't have to switch back to AP, and is able to destroy that Jagdpanzer 4, which was not getting reinforced by any of the other Axis units. So he kind of deserved dying there because he was alone. Big engagement where the Allies actually come out on top in a very, very chaotic, just contest of stupidity. Like, everyone was just throwing in their units everywhere. It was difficult to see exactly what was going on, but essentially the Allies tried to make a big push on both sides. On the left-hand side of their push, they got very surprised by the appearance suddenly of that Jagdpanzer. And on the right side, they continued doing their thing, only really gaining destruction of a fuel cache and, you know, kind of pushing back the German forces and disorienting them. but not really anything when it comes to actual concrete territory gains. And now they're moving in their vehicles again, and they lose their tank to the anti-tank gun ambush, which was completely predictable because it was just composed of the anti-tank guns that were recruited right now. So because of the fact that they failed to destroy the actual weapons over here on these AT guns, nor steal them, nor do anything of the sort, nor take any territory, they, in the end, were just forced to kind of admit defeat. Now there's a Tiger on the field for Furio, but this is not exactly gonna be the easiest time for the Tiger because there's a Jackson on the field and there's these two Shermans. The Tiger, though, is being very aggressive, actually doing a lot of damage to them for a free there. And now he sees that he's in the wrong neighborhood. Kills the first Sherman with a rear shot. And now Michael Wittmann is going to try to get the hell out of Villers-Bocage. But can he do that? Because there's the Jackson on the chase. He's angry. He's going to probably try to chase. But here's the ambush already being set up right now with these anti-tank guns. So the Jackson is going to have to give up the chase, and from the hunter, he's going to become the hunted. Anti-tank gun tries to take a second shot, but he's already too far away. The bird is out, and the hunter is displeased. So this is, I guess, a pretty good win for the Germans, getting the kill on a Cromwell and a Sherman. And also, once again, kind of disrupting what the Allies were trying to do. Once again, the Allies were trying to make a big, aggressive tank push, but this time they were not nearly as coordinated between the two, because earlier on they had the right wing composed by the Americans, moving in with infantry and Shermans, just crashing onto these defenses, whereas in the center left you had the Brits moving in with their Cromwells, so that way they had sort of both enemy players occupied on areas of the map, different from each other, not able to reinforce each other, whereas here you had that the Black Panther was able to move in and take control of some anti-tank guns, recruit them, defend them with the Obersoldaten, and then you only had Klieshnia move in at first with the Cromwells, so that kind of failed. Then he got surprised by the Tiger. The Tiger, by that moment, found that there were some American tanks preparing to move in, too late, and the American tanks paid the price for being late. At this point, however, Klieshnia is trying to go ahead and getting himself some tank destroyers, as is Donkey. So the Allies are also starting to head into late game mode. Again, what they're lacking is artillery, because at this point they have the left side in a relatively decent control, and if any problems arise, the only thing that they really need to do to reinforce the left-hand side is move up their tank destroyers, because the only thing that they're lacking over here is AT defenses. They have anti-infantry. So because of that, they're going to need to reinforce that with the TDEs, and they're fine. The right side, they can continue disrupting there and continue to push and put up pressure and make sure that the Allies don't have full control over there. With the VPs, they're at 308 to 222, so they're actually kind of ahead. And they can, if again, they can control at least 2 VPs, slowly put on pressure on the Germans. It doesn't look like with what the Germans are going for that they can just absolutely crush them in one blow. And by them, I mean the Allies. The Allies don't really seem like they're going to have enough to win in one single push. So what they need to do is they need to strangle the Germans slowly but surely. Grenade! And here comes the underpush. So Jackson's moving in and being very nasty. However, they're moving into a potentially very dangerous area with the anti-tank guns moving in to support. Tiger also helping out. So Raketenwerfers and AT guns really working on those Jacksons. But they're really spreading out their fire. And yeah, they just didn't focus on any single target. However, the Cromwell decides to suicide in for no reason. It does take a bit of damage, manages to use its excellent speed to run away after having sort of distracted the Tiger and the pack. In the meantime, the Firefly was trying to come in to get some pounding on the Tiger's frontal armor, but it was not enough. And the German infantry, while all that was going on, was able to defeat the Allied infantry, and now they're pushing in onto the defeated and limping and damaged Allied tanks, which now have to run away for the fear of Raketenwerfers pushing up behind the German infantry, using the German infantry as cover. And yeah, they're going to have to run away back to base. So this leaves the field completely to the Germans, at least on the right side, and this is going to be very, 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 very nasty to recover from. What now they need to... What? Are you sure? Are you sure, my friend? I feel like that's not the best idea ever. Oh no. He's using armor-piercing rounds on the mortar half-track. See, this is an interesting choice. Another Jagdpanzer. If I were him, I'd have waited and gotten myself the KT. Or maybe the Panther. Still surprising that no side is going for a lot of artillery. Of course, the Germans do have their indirect fire with the LEIG support gun and the 2 mortar half-tracks. But, again, it's not really artillery, full-fledged. Black Panther actually does have the fortifications doctrine, so he could get fortifications doctrine with 1,000 manpower. He can get an artillery piece, which I feel like would be very useful for him, because it would help deal with these annoying emplacements, it would help deal with these AT guns, and put some fire onto the base. And then later on, it would even help out, because with the fortifications doctrine you can get the Pak 43, and since the Allies don't seem to want to get any bloody artillery, you can just use the Pak 43 and use that to support, you know, one side of his defensive perimeter. And use it to prevent enemy forces from taking over there.
Enemy threatening a capture point.
Oh boy. Big nasty. This is a bad push. He should never push into a choke point with American armor. And he's gonna lose at least 1 Jackson due to this. Yep, it goes down. Tiger weaving in and out of the smoke, very nicely done. Able to get himself some nice kills. Right now though, Tiger needs orders, needs to run the fuck away, because he might just get himself some time on target done onto him. Yep, needs to run. So yeah, never push onto a choke point with American armor. You need these things to either stay back, in the case of the Jackson, and snipe at the enemy, or in the case of the Shermans, they need to flank. They really need to flank. So the correct place to attack for the Allies would definitely be the right, or the left. In fact, might be both. Like having one player push onto the left and one player to push onto the right, or maybe concentrate your efforts only on the left or only on the right. From a bird's eye view, I can see that the Germans are focusing more of their defenses on the right side, so I would say that, of course, an attack on the left-hand side would do a lot more damage. Now, the enemy, you know, the Allies don't really know this too much. Like, they can just infer this, considering from the fact that they've been fighting over the right side the entire game, and they only see every once in a while some infantry on the left-hand side. So if I were them, I'd try to coordinate an attack on the extreme left. But, oh well, that is just kind of the thing. As you can see right now, we do have a big German blob moving onto the center, whereas a big American blob is moving onto the right, and might catch these anti-tank guns, but here the machine gun is going to put them into suppression. But they can actually get around the suppression, and so now these anti-tank guns are kind of in trouble, because the blob here is just kind of a muck. And now it could come around and really do a lot of damage onto the German backline. Same thing, however, for the Axis blob, which, however, meets a Sherman, so they're going to need to run away. The Tiger decides to take the opportunity to move in and attack. Black Panther is not really able to come in and help with the Jagdpanzer though, because it was back at base repairing from the earlier engagement. One of the Jacksons is already dead thanks to the swarm of Rokenderwerfers that was stealthing in, actually not discovered by the Allied infantry, so able to stealth in and destroy the Jackson and do a lot of damage to the Sherman. The Sherman goes down to the Tigers, and the Tiger is now able to push in. There goes the ambulance. Amber Lamps is dead. All of the American infantry is routing back into the base, and the sole AT gun is going to be flanked by the Tiger, making it impossible for him to reply. So that's not very good at all. I thought that was a normal grenade, but no, it was a Gammon Bomb. Gammon Bomb doing quite a bit of damage, but not enough. And the Sherman Firefly is kind of a, like, fish out of the water over here. And he's being kind of an idiot. And might just die. There's a 17-pounder there? What? I guess the Jagdpanzer has to run away. Okay, whatever. Although, this might be bad for these guys. Still though, big victory for the Germans. And now they're able to recap the right, cap the center VP. Now that they're down to 124 VPs, VPs are starting to become much more important for them than they were before. Still, I think that the construction of this 17-pounder is a huge mistake. Klieshina not really even using the Churchill Crocodile. Yeah, I feel like a Churchill Crocodile would have been useful against the Rekenwerfers, but like, of course, I'm saying that because I know what happened and I saw them move up. They didn't know that there were 4 Rekenwerfers stealthing through, but what they could have known was the fact that, you know, they had been fighting a lot of ATs and aggressive offensive maneuvers, so they might have thought that, hey, a Churchill might be useful for that. Instead, Klieshina decides to go for a random-ass 17-pounder in the rear. You know, pretty much anything else might have been a lot more useful. Well, okay, he at least was able to destroy a mortar half-track. That's good for him. Because the range on this thing is so massive that, like, if the mortar half-track tries to fire on it, it's gonna be in range for the 17-pounder. And it's kind of hilarious. But, yeah, there's one thing it can't do too much against. It's people that aren't made of metal, because it can't hit them. So here comes 2 Rekenwerfers, and, yeah, it looks like the Rekenwerfers is, yeah, he's going to be the universal counter to everything that the Allies have. Wow. Tiger just moves in and destroys a mortar, making show of its big gun, and, oh. Well done. Bounce. Dead. And now he can finish the thing off. No. Finish him off. No. You did not finish off the AT gun. Rip. Anyway, the Tiger is being a big, big nuisance, and 2 Jagdpanzers. What? 2 Jagdpanzers? Why? I'm not sure. Like, you don't really need to counter that many enemy vehicles. I do not know about these Jagdpanzers. Again, I feel like some anti-infantry would be pretty great for oh, nice incendiary round. Don't really know, like, what these players are trying to do right now. But if I were them, of course, as I said, if I were the Germans, I'd try to focus a little bit more on putting up pressure on the left and getting some bloody anti-infantry from Black Panther. Because only Jagdpanzers, it's like, yeah, sure, that's great, but what the hell are they gonna do if they meet an AT gun, you know? And oh crap, because of the Rekenwerfer now, this Vet2 Jagdpanzer is not in a good spot. Okay, he's at least able to cap the center. The Germans are down to 113 points, as I said earlier. Pretty not good, but they've got the upper hand, they've got the initiative. Another reason why I wouldn't want Jagdpanzers, because they're not exactly that great to, like, make anything offensive. Like, I might get proven wrong, but, you're gonna need something that can really put up pressure and not just kind of sit back. Big boy Tiger can come around. And yeah, he sees the Jackson. Donkey has been spending a lot of his manpower just randomly reinforcing all of his guys, so he's floating a lot of fuel that he can't use to buy any armor, which is bad for him. Thankfully for him, that infantry is coming in at least pretty handy and pushing back this Tiger. Still though, the Allies can't really do too much without offensive armor at this point, because they've got, again, they've got 2 TDs, but TDs don't really give them that much initiative, and like they're trying to come back with these infantry pushes, but once, you know, once they meet like Schwer Panzerquarters and the Tiger is repaired and all that, they're not going to be in a great spot now, are they? And once Black Panthers is Obersoldaten are reinforced. Looks like Black Panther also lost quite a bit of infantry. He used to have more Obersoldaten and more folks, but yeah, he's going to need to try to get himself back up. Also, Furio's trying to get his stuff back up. There's a lot of support weapons scattered about throughout the map, and I think that both sides should really start to look into what they can reclaim for themselves, although not really as much for the Allies as for the Germans. In fact, a lot of what the Allies are using right now comes from Deutschland. Bamford decides to not care about anything and charge into the Jackson. This could have been very, very effective had the Tiger been backing this push-up, but only now he's moving in, and it's a little bit too late. The Panther's taking a lot of damage, and it's gonna die without really accomplishing too much. The Jackson will probably die, but the Tiger needs to move in for this to happen. Takes a lot of damage. Tiger is now big shit. Probably needs to pop not Blitzkrieg, Panzer Tactician, but he survives. Command Panther is on the field for Black Panther, and now he's trying to move in and support the Jagdpanzer. The Jagdpanzer does not really have that much to shoot at. Only now these 2 vehicles reveal themselves, and they do so to kill the Jagdpanzer. So one of the Jagdpanzers does absolutely nothing and dies. The other Jagdpanzer was doing absolutely nothing because it was already damaged. In the meantime, the Command Panther could not really do too much because he was alone, and he had no power to destroy these AT guns. Unfortunately, it seems like Furio was not able to micro his mortar half-track in the midst of all that fighting to put up a flaming barrage at the AT guns a little bit earlier, because if that had been done, I feel like those AT guns might not have been able to, you know, fire on the German tanks with impunity, but oh well. So Klieshnya now has more time to, I guess, rebuild his bloody SimCity on the left, and Donkey can get himself some armor again, although, again, he's lost 1 Jackson. And he's building another rear echelon troop, which is, I guess, I don't know. Floating a lot of munitions, so perhaps should upgrade that rear echelon troop with some M1919s. Germans down to 100, and the Tiger yet again tries to push through the same bloody spot. Yet again manages to kill a Jackson in the same bloody spot, which is doubly as surprising. And yeah, he's gonna escape out of there unscathed. When are the Allies gonna place some mines over here, or try to get some more AT watching over this passage? I do not know, because the Tiger keeps attacking for the same route, which is usually a pretty big mistake. You know, you don't fight over the same ground, attacking from the same direction every single time, but apparently that's what the Allies are doing, and it's working for them, so good on them. Oh, this is not good if your name is 17 Pounder, because Panzer Grenadiers and Obersoldaten are going to kill you. Of course, he braces, but that will not save him. That will not save him from the grenades. Command Panther is back up, repaired, and ready to get himself pounded on yet again, ready for another beating. And yeah, this is not the best idea ever. Kind of drives by and now moves in very close to the Beauforts, which is pounding it with 40mm to the face, which is actually penetrating. Then gets around the 17-pounder, gets behind the house so he's not, pounded on by the 17-pounder. But the 17-pounder is still, sorry, not the 17-pounder, the Beauforts is still able to get himself some rear shots. So he's now going to survive that. But the AT guns did not really move. I think he expected the AT guns to really change direction and try to chase him, I guess. but that did not happen, so the distraction that the Tiger was counting on did not happen, and now the Tiger needs to run away as well, with a main gun destroyed. The Axis infantry trying to push onto the left-hand side is being temporarily stopped by some infantry sections, but it's not going to be enough because the machine gun is dead, and ooh, this is a dangerous squad, though. Still, with the support of this MG34, I would say that the Germans can capture the left, and this means that there's a triple cap. So with the Allies down to 196, that only means that they have 3 and something minutes to recap one of these VPs. That's a mortar half-track dead before they lose.
Attempting to steal our sector.
Oh boy. Potentially a dangerous push over here. Dangerous for everyone involved. Why are you moving in closer to Grenadiers than the Panzer Grenadiers? Because, you know, these are the better close-range troops. Anyway, there goes that veterancy-free Grenadier squad. Is that going to be the kill on them? No. That was the last one. So I guess that's lucky for him that they survived. But the Tiger's now vet-free and repaired, so he's moving at the speed of Blitz, and now he can come back around and help out in recapturing the center. These two AT guns are so dangerously clustered together. Black Panther actually hasn't been using the artillery flares that I've been seeing, and that might be helpful, I think, because with 500 munitions, it's not like he can't use those, you know? I feel like that would be useful. And if he were to reveal some stuff around, that would greatly help the Germans in choosing a place to attack. Oh boy, the Tiger vet-free is in big shit, and, well, rip vet-free Tiger. Maybe not rip Tiger. Maybe not rip Tiger. Well, probably rip Tiger. Yes, rip Tiger. He actually managed to lose the bloody captain squad. He actually managed to lose the bloody captain squad just by getting in there. Ah, well. And now, after he has defeated the thing, instead of going for a Sherman, he goes for a Jackson. Furio actually does not have manpower to replenish the Tiger and replace it. And, yeah, I don't know. I feel like these allies, again, they need anti-infantry.
Firefly here. Let's get to work.
Rifle grenade. Well done. Normal grenade. Even better done.
Then try to take it.
You need to run. You need to run. Yeah, okay, he's gonna run. Good. So, assessing the situation before the final countdown. We have the Axis. Let's take a look at them first. So Black Panther has a lot of resources. Command Panther, a Jagdpanzer IV, 2 Obersoldaten squads, upgraded Volksgrenadier and MG34, a Sturmpire squad, and 2 Raketenwerfers. And so that means that he can't really use his many resources for anything that important right now because he's at pop cap. So he can play the most aggressive out of anyone because he's got resources and he's at pop cap. So that means that the only way you can use those resources is by trading and losing some things. His friend Furio has just lost his vet-free Tiger, so he's very much castrated from the position he was in before. We've got 2 Panzer Grenadiers and a Grenadier squad with 2 engineers and an MG42. Very, very meager infantry group. He has lost all of his mortar half-tracks. And he's got tier 4 actually. So he might get himself something out of tier 4, or he might wait for another tiger. Anyway, he's going to be mostly out of action for a, well, probably longer than Black Panther wants him to be. On the Allied side, we have the Klieshnia. Well, Klieshnia has a mortar emplacement and a veteran Firefly, so that's very good for him. He's also got a couple of veteran infantry sections still left over. He's just kind of remanning some of his support weapons all over the place. And he's got a Royal Engineer, so he's got a relatively well-rounded force, up to 70 pop cap and 370 fuel in the bank. And that means that, of course, he can wait ahead and get himself a Churchill Crocodile if he so decides, or get himself some more mediums or tank destroyers or whatever. He just needs to get himself some extra manpower, so he needs to be kind of careful with his infantry. Same thing for Donkey. He's got 235 fuel, and he has a Jackson. So I feel like, again, for him, it would be very important right now to get himself a Sherman, because it would be helpful. It would be helpful because it would be a very versatile tool to put up pressure where the enemy tanks are not. Of course, with the Panther command tank, this is going to be difficult. But if he can do that, then he can really put a pressure where the enemy does not expect. And since it's the Sherman, it's an American, they maybe do not expect that a random Sherman is just going to come around, wipe out the machine gun or whatever that's defending a VP, and then just cap the VP by jumping out. And that could be crucial considering that right now the VP spread is, well, 66 VPs. And we're down to, 150 and 89. So we have some very, very close game on our hands. And right now, both sides are going to be looking to maximize their advantages as much as possible. So I feel like a Sherman would be helpful in that. And again, it would be a nice anti-infantry, which is going to be important considering that Black Panther is relying on his infantry to deal with enemy infantry because he's got a Command Panther and a Jagdpanzer for armor, so he does not have anti-infantry in the form of vehicles. So having that whole kind of panoramic view of everything, both sides are essentially at the same pop cap, 125. Yeah, actually exactly the same pop cap, 125 and 125. For map control, the Germans are doing better with this kind of concave setup. They have managed to force the Allies back into the base. This is both good and bad. It's good because, of course, it makes them kind of more clustered together, makes it easier to predict where they might have some of their guys, makes it easier to predict where their vehicles are. If they lose a fight, it's more difficult for them because there's only one place they can run away. It's the base. But again, it is the base. They're closer to the base. They can reinforce faster. And most importantly, the Germans have to kind of spread out and defend a wider front. In terms of what they both might try to do, I feel like Black Panther might be looking to get himself aggressive against enemy armor, trying to destroy the Sherman Firefly that has been plaguing him for most of the time, because again, he can afford to replace some of his losses if he does lose some vehicles. So he should be the one that's the most aggressive, and Furio should try to sort of support him in the meantime by either making some diversionary attacks with his infantry in some other places and trying to cap perhaps any VPs that the Allies have under their control. The Allies instead probably are going to be a little bit more defensive, at least for now, because they don't have any medium or heavy armor to spearhead pushes. They've only got TDs, and they're also kind of relying on AT guns to supplement their normal infantry guys in dealing with enemy armor, even though there's not really that much danger coming out of there for now. Still, though, their kind of initiative is not going to come back just from having a Jackson and a Sherman Firefly. So they're going to need to wait until they can get out either a Churchill Crocodile or a Cromwell, or maybe a Hammer Tactics Comet tank for Klieshnia, and for Donkey, maybe a Sherman. So we'll see. And yeah, here we have the operation Not against the Firefly, but against the Jackson. Yeah, the Command Panther almost gets in the killing shot. He was not able to get coordinated fire, that ability off. So that was a big mistake because that would have, I think, gotten them enough damage because it doubles the damage that you do on any coordinated target. I feel like that would have been very important, but right now the bigger problems are coming in for them. The Firefly is moving in, and right now there's no 17-pounder to save it now. However, 1v1 against the Jagdpanzer 470, it is doing very, very well, and 1v1 against the Jagdpanzer also does very well, but the Axis infantry is beating the Allied infantry, wipes out yet another infantry section. Yeah, and they're able to keep the middle VP under Axis control. So again, despite some relative successes by a mechanized regiment headquarters, is he going for the KT? Probably. So as I was saying, despite the relative successes that the Allies are getting, they're still kind of eluding the bigger prizes, aka the capture of VPs and the holding of VPs. But we'll see, we'll see. Big time on target is going to go to waste, actually. That's kind of sad, because had they used this like kind of as an opportunity to move in, it might have been pretty good. But again, how can they move in? Because they have TDs and AT guns and infantry, so it's going to be difficult for them to really make a good push. Oh, they're going to lose a Vet 5 folks, but still able to take out an AT gun crew, I guess. Not the best. X is down to 75. And, ooh, a Stuka! A Stuka has been the purchase for Black Panther. This might be a very, very crucial Stuka because it's only going to get off 1 or 2 barrages, but if it can get those barrages off and take out the anti-tank guns and the machine guns, or at least damage them enough for a big German push to plow right through them, then this could give the Germans, the upper hand locally. And the Tiger's back, but he's just not carrying. He's just not carrying. He's moving in against the Sherman Firefly, and he's able to kill it. It was just not well defended. Because all the AT guns were here, and also here comes the Stuka, does a lot of damage, but wasn't that nasty, that impressive. Firefly is dead. Now 2 Jacksons are going to move in and try to defeat the Tiger, and I feel like that is going to be relatively easy for them. The Command Panther and Jagdpanzer were too heavily damaged to come in and assist. So yes, there goes the Tiger, sorry. And the Stuka barrage was not able to really put a dent into the Allied defense. Well, it did put a dent, but it wasn't able to disrupt the Allied defenses enough for the Axis infantry to break through the center. So this might not be all that great right now for the Allies.
Get ready. Germans have 50 points remaining.
Well done. Once again, those Rakenovers making sure they're very, very useful. Oh, he's gonna use the... Yeah, he lost the Vet 3 crew. That is very bad. That is very, very bad. Still though, nice flank from the... Wait, is this thing? Is this thing still firing? Yeah, he's still firing those armor-piercing rounds. I guess if you get them once, it never leaves the machine gun, even if the crew is not Vet 2 anymore. Huh, that's kind of interesting. I didn't know. Well done. Guess he's able to use that. And oh, finally! Fragmentation bombing! That is nasty. Destroys every support weapon. This is the chance for the Germans to push in and make some damage. So the Panzer Grenadiers and the fragmentation bombing have done a lot. Now the not the Black Panther, the Panther Command Tank and the Jagdpanzer 470 can push in and push back the Jackson. There is a Comet on the field though, and now the Axis armor is trying to move in, and along with the Axis infantry, they're doing a lot of damage. One infantry section is dead. Second infantry section, the Vetri one, wiped out by the Panzer Grenadiers, and now the Comet is essentially alone against the Panther Command Tank. The duel of the fates is about to begin, but the Comet is he's too afraid of going in without support, so I guess not really much is going to happen from that. And the Comet tank tries to run away, but takes a lot of damage in the meantime by exposing the rear armor and showing that, which was not the best. And so, yeah. Tank commander is on the field, but that's going to be the end. Because now the Allies can, or sorry, the Axis can destroy all the support weapons that the Allies were using without that much, yes, yet another Jackson, but without that much that the Allies can use to construct another defensive position anywhere. You know, they're going to be out of their league because now the Axis can really put the hurt down on them. If they can cap this left VP, they have a triple cap. For some reason, the Command Panther keeps missing the 6-pounder. I'm not really quite sure what's been going on there. So they're able to retake that, and actually, this is pretty bad if you're the Command Panther. But hey, he's got the little Jagdpanzer to save him, which is now up to Vet 2. So that makes it pretty dangerous. Well, rip Comet.
My lord, a tank's been lost. An emplacement is being attacked.
Okay, that's gonna be the end of the Bofors, and then they can cap the left side and win. Okay, because, you know, there's one infantry section and like 2 infantry squads for the Americans. 2 tank destroyers for the Americans, 0 tanks for the Brits, versus just all of that for the Germans. So, yeah, it's gonna be the end. So, yeah. Wow. What a game. Stuka once again tries to get himself some kills, but fails. So yeah, I think I'm gonna call it there. Although, I mean, we still might just have random shit happen. Okay, no, that's over. So thank y'all for watching. Hope you've enjoyed. I'll see you soon. And have a good night, day, whatever it is, back where you're watching. See you soon.